Hey friends! Here I am once again bringing you another episode so that you are well informed. Today, I'm going to tell you about how PoCha escaped from the Altiplano. I know this story has already been covered in many places and series, but as always, here are some little details so you can have a bit more knowledge about the important events of the Okran. So I hope you're ready to learn how the tunnel was built, how they managed to pinpoint the exact location of the shower in the cell, so they could confirm there wouldn't be any mistakes. Also, some issues that occurred during the elaboration of the escape plan, and how they agreed to finalize the plan. I'm going to try to explain everything step by step so you understand how things happened. All right. First of all, I'm going to tell you a bit about this prison. The Altiplano is Federal Social Rehabilitation Center number 1. It has had several names like La Palma, Almoloya, and lately it is El Altiplano. The prison covers an area of approximately 26 hectares and has a capacity for 724 prisoners. It was inaugurated in the early 1990s. Most of the major criminals who have been imprisoned there in Mexico have passed through it. It was said to be the most secure federal prison in Mexico, and it was practically impossible for any inmate to escape from there, which, as we know, were wrong. PoCha arrived there on the 22nd of February, 2014, which was the day they arrested him in the city of Mazatlan, Sinaloa. The first thing he got upon entry was an inspection with a dog. Then they assigned him a number, 3,578. Immediately, they made his identification file, which consists of his name, age, and fingerprints. Here I show you a short video of PoCha entering the prison. Then they asked for his general information, his name, Joaquin Archibaldo Guzman Loera. What was his alias? El Chapo. Then, his place of birth, La Tuna Badiraguato, his date of birth, the 4th of April year, 1957, age 56. Also his address in La Tuna, Mexican nationality. To which religion did he belong? Catholic. His marital status, married. His education, primary school. The name of his parents, Emilio Guzman Bustillos and Consuelo Loera Perez. What did he do for a living? Farmer. Followed by that, they proceeded to cut his hair and shave him. In the Altiplano, the PoCha. He quickly started to move to find guards who would accept money to make his life much easier inside the prison. The first thing was just so they wouldn't treat him badly or humiliate him, disrespecting him. Later, he would then start receiving a different kind of treatment and have things given to him, and that they take out cards, and thus the payroll kept getting larger. Some of them were convinced by the lawyer, and the PoCha convinced others, and the inmates themselves recommended to PoCha the guards who were corrupt and already received money from them. It wouldn't be long before he began devising his escape plan. The PoCha sent his lawyer Oscar Manuel Gomez Nunez to his compadre Lick. Lawyer Oscar. He said that PoCha sent many greetings and a big hug and asked if he could do him the favor of receiving his comadre. You know, PoCha's wife. Because he had some messages to give him, and that's what happened. In March of 2014, PoCha's wife went to see her compadre, the licenciado, in the city of Culiacan, Sinaloa. A licenciado's secretary came for her and took her to a place where the licenciado was waiting. There, the lady told him that PoCha had the idea of escaping from prison, and that he planned to do it through a tunnel. And PoCha wanted to know if he could count on him to help with that again. The licenciado immediately told her that, of course, he could count on him, with him for whatever was needed, and to tell his compadre that he would help in any way he could. His comadre told him thank you very much, and that her husband would be very grateful to him. That please supervise everything your compadre is saying to do. Please. Please, keep a close watch on his kids so they do things right and the plan doesn't get ruined. To advise them, to be very discreet, and to please pay attention about the details of the plan, ensuring all logistics are executed as perfect as possible. The lawyer told her not to worry, that everything would be done in the best way possible. The lady told him that PoCha wanted all the children to gather, his compadre and her to finalize the details of the whole process. But she had already met with the sons, and they told her it wasn't feasible. It was very difficult and wouldn't be easy to get a piece of land, but that they would start looking for it to run the tests. So I think there's nothing to talk about between us. But compadre, organize with them. Reach out to them so you can agree on something. And to make sure you keep up with everything your compadre assigned to do, ensure the coordination doesn't fail and the communication remains just as smooth. Just like it was between you guys. So there aren't any misunderstandings, make sure everyone talks about it among themselves, and the licenciado said everything was fine and that he would start moving to organize the logistics of what might be needed. Just like that, they said goodbye, agreeing to meet up if there was something important to discuss. The lawyer got in touch with the Chapitos to tell them he had already seen his comadre, and that he wanted to meet, so let's settle a day, but the Chapitos were out of the area and told him that as soon as they were in Culiacan, they would check in. But they said they were already looking at the land, but that they hoped to have good news by the time they met in person. This would already be in April of 2014. And so it was. When the Chapitos gathered, they brought 2 proposals for different land options around the prison. They figured the one farther from the Altiplano was more feasible because the owner seemed easier to handle. They said they had already sent him a proposal to see if he would accept it. Before we continue, I want to clarify something. As this episode is about the escape from Altiplano, I will only tell you the story of the Altiplano escape. The talks and conversations or the moments where this is discussed, subject or anything related to this subject, since other topics were also discussed during the meetings. But that's material for other episodes. And I'm clarifying this so you don't think those meetings were just a few words and then everyone left. No, other issues were touched upon, but we will discuss that in other episodes. Going back to the topic, the lawyer said that it was great. Sabernet had already started with the preparations to buy the land and asked them if they already had who would be the diggers for the construction of the tunnel. Los Chapitos said they were analyzing that, but that it would be seen later, when the purchase of the land was secured. And that was everything covered in that meeting. By chance, a friend of Licenciado looked for him with an attorney named Pedro Pineda. The curious thing is that this friend was also in prison, but in Culiacan, at Aguaruto Penitentiary. This person's name, it's Adelmo Niebla Gonzalez, also known as Memo or G3. Well, Memo wanted to send regards to the Licenciado and ask for permission to break out from the prison there in Culiacan. It wasn't really about asking for Licenciado's permission, but rather the Licenciado telling PoCha and for him to intercede on his behalf. As I mentioned, this was in late April and early May of 2014. He asked the Licenciado to assist, and that he would give him a part of the border so he could manage it however he wanted. Or that he would give him $5 or $10 million, that what was happening was that he was very afraid of being extradited. To be extradited, so that is why he was reaching out, please. And that he sent a big hug, and that the escape was already planned, and that it would be through a tunnel that was about to be finished. The Licenciado sent word to his friend Memo, that he'd tell his compadre PoCha, so he could authorize it. That's because he had to authorize it. But he had no problem with him escaping, just that he should wait to see what his compadre would say, since he was, as I said, the one who had to authorize it, and that message was sent to PoCha by the Licenciado, with his comadre. The purchase of the land near the Altiplano had to be done by someone who had no connections whatsoever with Sinaloa, and the person who was asked for this favor to make the deal, to be able to buy the land where the tunnel would start. Turns out, a lot of things sent to PoCha were left at the back of the bathroom in the conjugal visit area. That's how PoCha picked it up. Well, that time anyway. It was never known if someone took that item, if it fell, or what happened to it. But when PoCha went to pick it up, there was nothing there. PoCha asked the person what happened, if something was wrong because the guard hadn't left that there. So the person arranged a meeting with the guard at a restaurant in the state of Mexico near Toluca to ask what had happened. And the guard said he had left the package, that it was very strange. Well, PoCha got very worried because the GPS watch was essential to complete the plan. And if it had fallen into the wrong hands, that was very dangerous. That way, PoCha showed he was looking out for the guards and didn't want to get them into trouble. But the reality was that the watch had already done its job. Now, the plans showing how the Altiplano was constructed were obtained very easily. There it was said that the lady's brother would be the one personally overseeing the tunnel's construction. So they would be informed about the news. Now it was already designed. The group of workers who were going to be in charge of creating the tunnel already had the person who would oversee the project. So they discussed the topic of money. The money that PoCha was putting in came from what his compadre Yoma and the group of the 5 sent him from time to time. Product of the profits from the trips they were making, which, as I mentioned in one of the previous episodes, that was given to the Chapitos by Yoma. Also, PoCha put money from the profits he made from selling synthetic bachi. That is how it was known back then, to what is known today as Fenta. All of that is in the letters that PoCha was sending, and all those earnings were handed over to the lady, and the Chapitos also started asking his dad's friend to give money, saying it was for lawyers' fees and that sort of thing. That's how they asked 3 people for money: Jorge Querjoqui, Juan Bosa, and Javier Leon. Well, all the news about the escape, the lady used to tell PoCha during their private visits. That's how she would say to him when they got under the sheets, whispering softly in their ears. Since in the intimate visit area there are microphones and everything that is talked about is recorded. We'll talk more about this in the episode on corruption in Altiplano, so you can understand it better. During the period of the tunnel's construction, there was only one incident, and that was when one of the moles observed that some trucks from the Mexican army were prowling around. And when he saw it, he got scared and left the place. The other workers, but the first option, that was considered to move the PoCha far from the escape zone was a helicopter. which was going to be in a town of the state of Mexico. But after thinking it over, the decision was made not to use it, as it would attract a lot of attention due to the noise made by the aircraft. The ML had a helicopter in Mexico City, at the airport, which was rented to give tours around the city and its surroundings. I am sure many of you have seen it because it has also been rented for various documentaries and TV series, one of them being El Señor de los Cielos. The helicopter I'm talking about is a Bell 206. I will just show you a video where Popeye gives his opinion about this escape.
Que él está en una prisión de alta seguridad. Estas prisiones de alta seguridad tienen sensores, ahí no se pueden hacer túneles porque en el cuarto principal donde están las cámaras, los sensores inmediatamente reportan de que se está acabando. Ahí cuadraron los de los sensores, cuadraron los de las cámaras. Esa fuga es con dinero. Esa fuga tiene que ver los guardias del penal y mucha gente afuera. Esa fuga yo le pongo que valió unos $50 millones.
So you heard it. According to Popeye, for him that escape cost $50 million. Complete madness. But like I said, a lot of people talk without knowing, and everyone likes to exaggerate. For example, many years ago, a person escaped from the Aguaruto prison in Culiacan. His name was Dorian, and everyone was saying that he had spent millions to escape. But no. The reality is that the escape didn't cost him even 5,000 pesos. He only spent on an ID with another name. And with it, he got out so easily, so cheaply, less than $300. Or also the first escape of PoCha from Puente Grande. They're talking about millions of dollars, and it's not even close. But I think I'll tell you about it in another episode, how the real escape from Puente Grande in the year 2001 happened, because I've never heard the complete truth. I'm going to tell you exactly how it went, and what nobody knew about that event, because I believe that, at most, only 5 people know this. But I'm going to share it with you because honestly, only about, let's say, 50% of that escape has been talked about. What was talked about there was that PoCha was saying that the noises were getting too loud under his room, and that everyone should be ready and in their positions, because the escape could happen any week. So the pilots, they had to already be on the runways with the planes ready, the trailer in the way, driver ready, the man gun in their positions ready. So they must have cash in hand, tools ready, and a group of bribed federal police agents who were trusted by the Telcar in the state of Mexico to carry out a transfer. So, among them, there would be Mangun allowed to be in uniform and carry a badge. But the real police officers didn't know what they were going to transport. This was only a plan B in case the PoCha needed a different strategy. And he goes back to grab the towel that was hanging on the small shower wall. You can see all this in the video I just showed you. You can see how the PoCha pulls the towel there. That was to dry the sweat. Well, the PoCha, he starts going down the improvised ladder, which was almost 10 meters long. He took his Takor, a super with 3 extra magazines, and grabbed one of the 5.16 with a tube that was there. He didn't like the hiding spot in the refrigerated box because with the anxiety he had, he thought he wouldn't be able to stand in there, and the PoCha went back to the airstrip and took the same plane, but now to head towards the mountains. Like a movie, because it's hard to believe that the red alert code for the escape wasn't activated until